Hello again, this is Aaron, and just continuing our series here. The second day of Christmas is, as the song goes, they say, on the second day of Christmas, my true love gave to me two turtle doves. And the turtle doves, as I understand it, represent the Old and New Testament, which might sound kind of odd to some people because depending on what part of the Christian faith you're into, people emphasize different parts of the Testaments. A lot of churches nowadays do not emphasize much in the Old Testament, or some emphasize a lot of it. However, the idea, again, as I understand it, is that all of these gifts are gifts from God, our true love, or my true love, which again is God. So what God has given us then is the two testaments, the Old Testament and the New Testament, which can be, shortened down to just law and gospel. That we have the law, which is something that in the Old Testament that the people asked for, actively wanted the law because they did not know how to worship God. They did not understand what they needed to do. They wanted the rules to be able to do whatever they needed to do. And so they asked for the law, and the law was given to them, and then they promptly broke it repeatedly, which is basically the condition of mankind throughout time. But the gospel was necessary because, not just because of the law, but in many ways because of the law, because we asked for a law that would help us create, or to fulfill God's word, to do God's plan, to worship Him, but also to help us live the best lives that we could. And we were given a law, and we did not follow it, and generally have made a mess of it. In fact, if you go past the Ten Commandments and to look at the other rules, regulations, and things like that, at no point would I say that they are not useful or necessary at the time or even forever, but it was obvious that there were some issues that were caused by the law. And this is not to criticize Judaism, but it was something that when Christianity was developed and moving past the law, there were a lot of different things that didn't make sense to at the time or to people anymore. Now, obviously, there's been plenty of Jewish people who find it very useful and makes a lot of sense, but in light of what Christianity was, it didn't anymore. So what we have then is the Old Testament, which is the law, which is what we asked for, and the New Testament, which is the gospel, which is what we needed. Because through the law, no one was made righteous. We all failed. The only one who did not fail was Jesus, who was God Himself. So that's, again, just my understanding of what it means by two turtle doves. A way that you can incorporate this into celebrating the day, as far as gift giving, is to think about what a turtle dove is. To mention in one way, actually, the turtle dove, depending on your particular variation of the Bible, is actually mentioned a lot. I think it depends on the translation. Again, a lot of older translations, the more common ones, don't always mention it as a turtle dove, but it just seems like it is referenced in Genesis 15, Leviticus 12, Psalm 74, Song of Songs 2, and Jeremiah 8. So if you're interested, you can look those up. And again, if you don't have a particular version, which the only one I recognize is the American Standard Version on this list. Oh, and the Young Living Translation, which I don't know. I'm not going to comment about that. It's a lot of different translations. So, but the idea of what a turtle dove is, it was a very beautiful bird, often seen as innocent. It does not. It is a herbivore. It only eats, it doesn't eat other animals. tends to do things like that. So, um, and it supposedly is the bird that was sent out um, to find find land when Noah was on the ark. It was also used as a sacrifice many times. Uh, the idea, and sometimes instead of turtle dove, it'll just say dove, which it could be the same bird. It might not. There's no way we would tell now. Uh, the idea of it is that it is a bird of passage. This is something that you might think about as a passage of time. It's also considered to be a bird of mourning because of the voice, that it sounds mournful or sad to us. So these are things you could think about when you're giving gifts to someone. It might be, if you want to reflect the date, it could be that you give something to someone that could reflect a bit of sadness of something that happened over the year. Not that you want to be terribly sad during the 12 days of Christmas. They're supposed to be exciting and joyful and just celebratory, but somber might be an idea then, something to think, we did this and we had some bad things happen this year, and to reflect on that, which could be very appropriate the day after Christmas, because Christmas is the high point. Now there's different things that are going to happen throughout the 12 days, but which we haven't got into yet, different emotions. But this could be a good one to step back and to think about that. And it might be, with your family, thinking, we struggled with this, some event, like maybe somebody died, maybe there were some financial issues, to reflect on that and to give a gift or to do something that reflects the triumph or just enduring that event, the survival, being able to go beyond that. So that's what I'm thinking about that one. So obviously, if you have a different opinion, that's great. The idea of me mentioning these things is to just provoke some thought, because I feel like that's what's missing from this concept, from the 12 days, the fact that we've mostly just forgotten about it, moved on from it, maybe even as a culture, but the idea that we can do something useful with it is great, because I think there's a lot of meaning in it. All right, well, thank you, and ends it for today. Hopefully back tomorrow with part 3.